What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Talking to the Law Benfica podcast. This is the first one was a false start. Can you hear me or no?
I can hear you.
Okay. What about you, Cristiano?
Beleza.
Okay. Tá bem, então. All right. On this edition, episode number 227, we'll look back at the Boa Vista game. We'll also look ahead to Leixoes and Tondela, which are Benfica's next two games. But without further ado, my name is Alfredo. I'm here with Steve Santos. What's going on, Steve?
You know, another night, another podcast, another little bit of bourbon, another weird game over the weekend. Lots to talk about.
Yeah, Cristiano, what about you, man? What's going on with you?
Same old, man. Excited once again to be here, talk about our beloved Benfica. Just wish we were talking about a different subject matter today than what we're going to talk about, but nonetheless, excited.
Hey, but for serious stuff, we talk about this subject matter. For comedy, there's another club we could talk about, but that's not this is not a podcast about the other club. It's a podcast about Benfica. But let's talk about this Boa Vista game that went down this weekend, an afternoon game. And Cristiano, you were telling me how much you dislike the afternoon games. Why do you dislike afternoon games, dude?
It's harder to tell the play. I don't know. It's a lighting thing to me. It's just all about lighting. To me, I like night games. I'm able to tell the players from afar. I don't know. It's all about lighting.
Right.
Nothing else in particular.
So I'll give you the lineup real quick. Ederson, Semedo, Luizão, Lindelof, and Almeida were in defense. Samaris and Pizzi in the middle. Salvio and Rafa on the wings. Guedes and Jonas. Let's talk about this lineup real quick, Steve. So I'll go by talking about the combination up front with Guedes and Jonas. Now there was some talk from the Boa Vista coach saying that there was a possibility that they were going to park the bus, or if they needed to park the bus, they were going to park the bus. So my understanding, my interpretation of Guedes and Jonas up front is definitely to give more mobility. What was your read?
Well, Rui Vitoria mentions a little bit in the post game presser where he mentions the opposing team not having a reference, and that's probably what he meant to do by playing with Guedes and Jonas. You have two guys that don't really stand there and are that number 9 and show up always in the center forward channel and give the center back somebody to mark. Whether or not that's the right tactic or he was saying, or he did that because Leal said that, I'm not sure I believe that, because when you were expecting Boa Vista to park the bus and after they're up 3-0, he brings on Mitroglou, who is better in those types of situations because he has the muscle to outmuscle a center back or two. He plays in the tight spaces just because of his physical frame slightly better than Guedes does, because he'll want to play into space a little bit more often. So I don't know if it was in direct relation to what Miguel Leal said. I think it's more it was, I don't want to say an experiment, but it's something that he probably has played with before. I mean, the other day he played Rafa and Guedes in the cup, and it seemed to work well. So he was like, why not Jonas and Guedes? And that's where that went with. I don't think it was a direct reaction to those comments.
I think Vitoria just went with, I mean, you can make an argument. Obviously, you can make an argument, but with the exception of the guys that are injured, he went with his best 11 players. I mean, you can make that case, and I think that's what he did, and it didn't work out.
Agree. Salvio?
No, well, but in his eyes, listen, like I said, it's arguably
his best 11. Okay.
Yeah.
Fair.
And I said arguably, because you can make a case on Salvio. That's about it. Because then Samaris is only in there because Fez is hurt, and then no Grimaldo because of injury. Everybody else that played, you can make an argument. Even Rafa at this point is ahead of Servi, and then you put your best players in the game, and he figured he was going to need more possession, like you just mentioned, more guys to break the defensive lines of Boavista. And I think once they fell behind 3-0, he put in Mitroglou because Mitroglou, even though it was already a 3-0 scoreline, which changes the game and changed their mentality, but it doesn't allow Boa Vista to push up that much because they have to stay, different lines. So I understand what he did with starting those 11 guys. It didn't pan out, and I don't think it had anything to do with the fact that he started those 11 guys. I mean, Benfica absolutely created their chances. Guedes had two very good scoring opportunities that one he shot wide, the other one deflected, and the goalkeeper, kicked it, saved it with his feet. I mean, you can make the case that they should have been up 2-0 right from the beginning, and it just backfired, man. It's one of them games that Boa Vista came out on fire, and perfect set pieces. I mean, that goal by Yuri Medeiros, that was absolute perfection. I mean, there's nothing that you could blame anyone on that set piece. I think Ederson was phenomenal. He got there, just it was a perfect shot. Sometimes you have to tip your cap to the opposition.
Yeah, but here's something for you, Cristiano. I talked about Rui Vitoria perhaps taking Miguel Leal's comments ahead of the game, like he was going to park the bus. Here's two sides to the argument, right? So you got Mitroglou and you got Jonas, which is a pairing that has worked all of last season. Worked very well. Worked last game that Benfica played. Do you think that he maybe underestimated this Boavista team, or do you think he respected him too much by changing the front line to adapt to what he thought was going to be a more defensive Boavista side?
No, I think he went with what in his mind are his best 11 players, Alfredo. Just like I mentioned before. I mean, you had two games back-to-back against Vitória de Guimarães, where one Jonas and Mitroglou played, and the other one where Rafa and Guedes played. Rafa scores 2 goals. They played relatively well. He figured, you know what? These are my best options. So he went with his best options over saying filling out a roster, filling out a starting 11. And, dude, I think it was just that perfect storm. They got caught off guard. All 3 goals, obviously, they're questionable. There's also a questionable handball in the box. And I don't want to sound like the other team start crying. But, these are all plays that could have changed the game. And he just, like I said, he went with his best 11. And Boavista played the perfect 25 minutes for them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and then as Steve mentioned, the change of Mitroglou in the 37th minute, if Boavista had parked the bus, like after 3 goals, we were expecting them to park the bus, then he puts in Mitroglou, then perhaps his initial read of the game, and I understand what you're saying, Cristiano, as far as picking his best 11, or in his mind what his best 11 were, but that change, Steve, do you read that change as him correcting a mistake, or do you think he's being reactive to what the game is asking for?
Completely reactive to what the game is asking for. Like Chris said, if you watch the game first 20, 30 minutes, we could have been up 2-0 just as easy as we were down 3-0. To me, I thought we played some very good football. The combination of Jonas and Rafa up front had some promising moments. Jonas and Guedes up front had some promising moments, especially the play from Rafa to Guedes with Guedes missing the mark just barely. I don't think that he was correcting things that were going wrong. I mean, like Chris said, it was almost like a perfect storm. You have 3 goals that come off of some questionable refereeing. I don't normally like to go there, but they do. They come very isolated. I mean, Boavista, when they got the ball, they were definitely trying to come out with the ball quickly and supporting each other. They weren't just sending one guy out alone on his own, but they weren't bossing the game. They weren't creating chance after chance. I mean, if you watch that first half, we played with the ball at least quite well. If anything, I think we were not that efficient in front of goal. We've had games where we play with the ball quite poorly, aren't able to keep it, aren't able to create many chances, but we have that efficiency in front of goal, and we squeak out ties like we did in Porto. We win games that we probably didn't have that much of an argument to win, just in comparison to the weekend's game. So I don't want to bring out cliches, but the ball is round, and you do actually have to play the matches, and sometimes things don't work out exactly the way you plan them out to be, or exactly the way that the game is played. I mean, we were not 3-0 inferior after 28 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just gonna say that,
the way
Steve.
things happened.
I was just gonna say, not even though we fell behind 3-0, at no point did I feel like we're not at least going to get a point out of this.
Yeah, I have to agree. That was my feeling too. Even going down after going down 3-0, I never felt that Benfica didn't have it in them to come back on Boa Vista. I knew it was a large task, but playing at home and playing the way that we had been playing at that time, which wasn't spectacular and over dominating, if I may add, but it looked fluid. It looked supported. You can argue that Boa Vista came down to our goal 4 times, and out of the 4 times, they scored 3 goals. There's games like that. I've seen games like that where, you know, in the blink of an eye, you're down and you're chasing a lead, and that's what Benfica did. They chased the lead. Thankfully, they got a goal before the half. If they hadn't gotten a goal before the half, I thought it was going to be very hard. But even so, Benfica played very hard to get those goals back, and I think that in the 70th minute we just ran out of gas.
The 70th minute comes in, we start to make a lot of to get to the 3-3. I thought we played a lot of smart football, a lot of choosing the right option, a lot of
not Andre Almeida.
Andre Almeida is Andre Almeida. I think we mentioned it last week. He's a limited player. He's going to make mistakes like the one he did in front of goal. He's not an attacking player. I'm not gonna put the sword to him because of that. Up until the 70th minute, I felt we were doing the right things. After that, I think going for the goal and at all costs kind of got to us. I think we started making some over elaborated passes, taking that extra step with the ball when really we should have passed it on to a teammate who was in a better position. Up until the 70th minute, I was very happy with the way we played. The last 20 minutes look a little bit too desperate, and even left for some very desperate defending and some very good goalkeeping by Ederson as well.
Steve, Alfredo and I were having a conversation via text message during the game. When Vitoria makes the first substitution, President Mitroglou takes out Rafa, I did not like that substitution at all. I'm the type of person that, bro, you know, you're already down 3-0. If you go down 4-5, who cares? You're down. You're going to lose the game anyway. So I was of the opinion that if it was me in charge, I would have taken out a defender. And then later on, he does take out Luizão eventually. I would have definitely taken out a defender and kept Rafa. And I didn't think Rafa had a bad game. I still don't understand why he chose to go with him and sub him off. But I definitely would have taken out a defender.
Here's my only explanation for that. One, I don't agree with it. For me, it's always Salvio or maybe even Geth should get the drop. But I think Rafa is known as a player who plays better in space or when the game is slightly broken and there's not so many defenders in front of him, and he's more of that guy who on the counter attack will take that first touch and just start running at people and create mismatches that way. I think he might have that bit of a label to him. And when the game changed and those situations were going to be fewer and fewer, Rui Vitoria went for a player who suits that profile a little bit better. I'm not saying I agree with that. I'm just saying that's my outlook on the way he's reading it.
I'm gonna act like a little fanboy here.
It's Salvio that comes off every time.
I'm gonna act like a fanboy here, but Steve, I mean, that's not in nothing against you or your explanation of it, right? But as like a pain in the ass fan, right? That's not satisfactory to me. I mean, we're talking about a player we paid $16 million for, and he can only play in certain situations. That's not acceptable.
I don't agree.
I'm not getting at you. You know what I mean?
I don't agree, but I'm just saying
acceptable.
That's him saying, okay, this game no longer suits Rafa's strongest points. I don't want to mess with the back line. I'm choosing him to not really point the finger at, but use him to change the game, because you need in my mind, you need a player up there up front to hold down the center backs, to win 1v1 battles, that kind of stuff. And then the Rafa change is the Rafa skill set is not what you think in your mind is the most important at that moment.
Yeah. I mean, I thought you bring up a great point, Steve, and I think that's a very valid shout. I just think that Rafa, with the ability to take people on 1v1, he's probably one of the better guys on the team.
Agree.
But like you said, now all of a sudden Boavista's retracted. They're back. They lower their lines. There's a lot less space to play with Rafa. But then you could argue the same thing with Gedge, because there's a lot less space for Gedge too, which is a guy that likes to play with space in front of him. So I don't know if he comes down between those two, I'm taking Gedge out. I think that Salvio is a good shout also, but Salvio is another guy with very, very good 1v1 skills.
Yep. And like I said, for me, man, I completely agree with you guys. I'm just reading it the way I think he read it, not the way I would have done it. I could see the Mitroglou change. I could really see it, but I can't I can't see Rafa coming off, man. To me, if I feel like I need to bring in Mitroglou and I don't want to mess around with the team too much, I'll take off Salvio for me. But that's everyone's different. And that's why I'm sitting here in a basement doing a podcast, and he's, probably getting ready to wake up for tomorrow morning's training session.
Yeah, but Cristiano, it didn't take too long for him to take a defender out and put Servi in. He took Luizão at the half and brought Servi on, and immediately you could tell right away there was a difference. Servi had a couple plays where he did very well to get behind the defense, cause a little bit of trouble. He is the guy that penetrates into the box and gets fouled, and which gives the penalty for Jonas, which brought narrowed the lead, the Boavista lead, to 1 goal. So it was an instant impact by Servi.
Yeah, it was, and that's why I didn't understand the taking out of Rafa, and I know we just covered that, but I thought he could have made that move early and still taken out of the defender. And in particular, because you had a Servi that could still play the left back position and bring a lot of threat down that left wing. I just listen, man. It worked out. His moves worked out. You know what I mean? But I didn't like him at the moment. At the time it happened, and just sometimes I question what these coaches do. I mean, it's something that I've been going back and forth with Alfredo, if you recall, about the Portuguese mentality of coaches. They play not to lose rather than to win, or you know what I mean, or take their opportunity, their chances. And I thought that was one chance, and particularly because they did it later on in the game. I thought that's a move that could have been done earlier.
Yeah,
taking out of the defenseman.
Yeah,
and Servi, and not to cut you off, but Servi, this is what we see every game. The guy gives it his all. He's a threat, and he's a pesky little player. He's only going to get better. It was definitely a good addition. So,
yeah. And here's the thing, and I know that we've kind of been talking about this in the past couple pods, where Benfica, for the most part of the games that they have played, they have scored, and then at the end of the game or towards the latter part of the game in the second half, they have controlled the game. And look, I know that it took a lot from Benfica to chase down that lead. They had to play supported football in the 70th minute. The thing that I see, Steve, is all of a sudden there's no legs to play supported football. There's no guys moving into passing lanes. There's no guys trying to support the ball carrier. And this is what I saw. But here's the thing, right? Do you think that maybe this team is not as conditioned as they should because of the approach they have to a lot of these games where they kind of back up and give the initiative to other teams?
Wow. That's a very interesting topic. I can't because we're so much better than 95% of the opposition we play, especially in Portugal. It's really hard to read that. I'm not saying that you have no leg to stand on. I'm just saying that it would have to be something that, especially in the Champions League going forward, that you'd have to watch. Because, yes, you got found out in this game. But, yes, we do look tired after the 70th minute. But I don't know if that's mental fatigue as much as it is physical fatigue, and I Alfredo, I have to watch more, man. I don't think so. I honestly think that there's enough legs in that team that should have won that game. There's they look tired at the 7th minute. They're making poor decisions, but I don't know. And you have a lot of guys just trying to stay high up the pitch, waiting for long balls and stuff like that. I don't know if it's completely fitness. Alfredo, I'm not saying you're wrong, but I don't see it. I don't see it that blatant.
Yeah, I mean, you can make the argument that the team played on Wednesday, but on Wednesday, you're talking about that we played with 8 guys that are usually starters. So the team completely refreshed themselves, and the defense, and and on the wings, and even up front.
There's an argument to be had, but I didn't see it in that way. I you know what I mean? Like I saw it more of us running out of ideas and looking more for direct passes, a lot of clipped balls over the top by Pizzi, a lot of plays where you could have went in between lines first, and he was trying to go him and other players were trying to go directly for a Hollywood ball. I don't read it the same as you, as a lack of fitness, personally.
Yeah.
Let's be honest about something, guys. Benfica goes as Pizzi goes. Pizzi was a non-factor. Pizzi was nowhere to be seen. A lot of these guys in the latter part of the game were trying to do a lot more with the ball rather than spreading the ball around. There's that old saying, "Faz a bola correr." You know what I mean? Make the ball run. You don't run. Don't get tired. And we saw guys choosing to go down the individual path a lot more than we're accustomed to. And Pizzi was nowhere to be found. When Pizzi is on, spreading the ball around, he made some bad decisions in this game. And Steve, I'm not trying to get on your boy, but it's just a player that's won the Player of the Month in the Liga North for 3 consecutive months. In his first game, it was a pretty bad game for him.
It was a bad last 20 minutes,
especially in the second half. I didn't think he played all that well. I think that it was emphasized by the last 20 minutes where Benfica was rushing, and most of the rushes were coming from his feet. But I also think that Steve, you could go back and watch that second half again. After the 70th minute, Benfica is not playing as much supported football as they were up until that point. And
Absolutely
I think this has a lot to do with legs.
I'm not calling you out and saying you're wrong. How's that sound? Although I don't know if it was legs or if it was just desperation. That's where I could read it in both ways, because the runs weren't being made, but the players were way up the pitch, and that's why the supportive football for me wasn't there. Not so much that I don't think they had the legs anymore to make the runs. I think they were making ill-advised or poorly decided runs. I don't know how you want to call it, but that's the way I see it. I don't see it as a team that just looked like they couldn't run anymore, personally.
Yeah. Cristiano, any impact from this game on the team? I know that there was a lot of fans that decided to look at the positive behind it, to say, well, we were down 3-0 and we showed enough attitude to come back. But what does a game like this do to a team? You think there's any mental impact or even a positive impact?
No, it was a hiccup. I think there's going to be a lot more positives from this than negatives, believe it or not, because this shows the team. It'll make them believe next time they're down. It'll make them believe that, look, we're down 3-0 and we came back to tie it up, and we could have very easily taken the lead, just like we could have very easily have lost the game if it wasn't for a brilliant Ederson in the 80s, whatever, late 80s. I forget exactly, 86th, 87th minute. But I think they'll take positives from that. And I'll tell you, man, as a Benfiquista, watching and listening and hearing the fans sing, okay, it reminded me of why I love this club. It reminded me of why I'm a Benfiquista and why I've been in love with this club since I was a little kid, man. That was great to hear the fans support this club and sing their songs. And a lot of other times you'd expect the fan base to get a little sour and start booing and stuff like that. I mean, we saw our rivals not too long ago tying the game at home, and they had the white lenses, the handkerchiefs, and basically showing their displeasure. And here we are, 3-0 down, and the fans are singing and chanting, supporting this club as if they're up, as if they're the ones that are up 3-0. So
Yeah.
I thought that was important. And again, I think this is going to motivate the team. This is going to make them believe going forward, because anytime they face any controversy, they'll go back to this time and say, guys, let's regroup here. Let's get it together. We're down 3-0, and we were able to turn it around. There's no reason why we can't do it now. So I think that's the way that they should look at it. And I hope that I hope that is the way they look at it.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, the standing O at the end of the half as the players are walking into the tunnel. I mean, there's a lot to be said about that. I mean, you're down 3-1 at that point, but the whole stadium believes that you could turn this around. So you go into the half right away. That outpour of support, that's something that makes Rui Vitoria's speech a little easier at the end of the half, right? Because he says, look at how you walked off the field, and look at the outpour of support you got from your fans. Your fans are expecting you to turn this around. They believe in you. You got to believe in yourselves, and you will do this. So I thought that was great, and it's not the first time that we've seen this outpour of support. We've seen it against Zenit a couple seasons back, if I recall correctly, or maybe last season. I'm not sure.
2014 September. Yeah. I was at the stadium.
That's right. So, I mean, this team knows that the supporters are with them. They often mention these outpours of support by the fans, and how much the support of the fans means to the team. Rui Vitoria has mentioned that it's like that the fans are playing with us. So this is something that you want to cultivate as far as the support, and encouraging the fans to stick with the team and to continue to push the team forward. This is something that you want. The sellouts at Estádio da Luz, or close to sellouts at Estádio da Luz, that's very encouraging for Benfica. So to me, I think that as long as the fans stay alongside the team, I think that the team has a very good chance to get to the finish line in a very good position and in first. I know that it's still early. We just turned around. First round is finished. We go into the second round now. We just turned around. There's still a long way to go. There's a 4-point lead to Porto, an 8-point lead to Sporting, but there's still a lot to go. Now that the first half is over, some talking points for you guys as far as what this first half meant to you, some of the things that you took off from this first half. Cristiano, do you want to go first?
Yeah. To me, it's simple. To me, it's basically, it shows the depth of this club. I mean, we've had a lot of injuries at a lot of different positions, and yet this team still ticks on all cylinders. And so to me, I think that's the one thing I take away from the first half so far.
Steve?
Yeah, we're definitely playing a better brand of football as of late. There's one thing, the way we respect every opponent is another thing. I think the fact that our direct rivals are struggling to play against the salvage of this world, and we more or less, for the most part, we're going out there and putting in very professional and mature performances against all these clubs is a sign of things to come. I think like last year, I think this season is going to be won again based on the consistency that we've had against these smaller teams. We've tied Porto. We beat Sporting, right? I'm already losing it. We beat Sporting, correct?
Yes.
So that's already a bonus on last year. So we'll have to, that plus the consistency is looking like another championship season, which would be a 4 in a row. But let's
still a lot to go.
Hold up.
Yeah. Hold up. A lot of positives.
There's definitely a lot of positives in this first half of the season, I'll have to say, even though sometimes I might sound like I'm a bit negative, but in domestic competition, there is a lot of positives to behold.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that I agree with you guys. The biggest storyline so far has been the depth of the team, as Cristiano has mentioned, and also how we've been able to find solutions and keep this team ticking with the consistency that Rui Vitoria has accustomed us to. Classy guy in pressers. Say what you will about Vitoria, he does have his coaching shortcomings, if you will. The team has been playing better. He is a guy that does not disrespect any opponent, no matter how big or small. He's a guy that doesn't take the bait when baited to talk about opposition and to talk about referees. So he's just a classy guy. And to me, as a Benfica fan and as a guy that identifies with the culture of the club, I can't help but to identify with Rui Vitoria, because that's probably the approach that I would have if I was in his position. So I think that it's very
Not
good.
me.
I think that I think it's very good that Benfica respects all of their opponents. And I think that it's good that Benfica takes the high road when everybody takes their time and is now spending the majority of the time complaining about the referees, saying that it's Benfica's fault, saying that now Benfica has some kind of a stranglehold on the refereeing and on the guys that are making the decisions with the league. That's ludicrous. But
yeah, but Alfredo, let's not forget. Let's for those that are listening, the haters that will most likely throw this at you, which is, it's easy to talk when you got a 8-point lead in a 6-point lead at the time, against your main rivals. Everything's been roses so far this season. Everything's gone according to plan. He is a classy individual. No one's taking that away from him. But when everything goes your way, it's easy to be positive.
It's easy, but Cristiano, even when things don't go your way, the fact that he keeps a cool head and the approach is the same, whether things are not going well or things are going well, I think that shows the consistency and shows the type of individual that he is. Because I understand that for the most part has been winning. I mean, but there's been bad things. I mean, there's been bad things that have happened to this team so far.
I think it would have been interesting if Benfica didn't come back and tie this game up, right? It would have been interesting to see his post game presser. But obviously, Benfica were able to turn it around and still get a point at home. There's some positives, even though to me, it's a terrible result at home, to be honest. You know what I mean? Against Boa Vista at home, that is not a result that we all anticipated. But there are the positives that they came back from 3-0 nil, from 3-0 down, I should say. But if they didn't come back, I think that would have been the interesting thing to see if we reacted, to see if we would bite and eventually say what a lot of us have said so far, that there was a lot of controversy on their goals and stuff like that. But he has the luxury of a 6-point. I mean, at the time, a 6-point, an 8-point lead, and that luxury, man. You don't have that pressure that these other guys have, and he's been a good man so far. I'll say that much. Though I will agree with you on that.
Right. So next up, Portuguese Cup quarterfinals, which happens this Wednesday against Leixoes at Estádio da Luz. Benfica will play at 8:30 local. This is Leixoes is a team that plays in the second league. Their coach is Kennedy. And I don't know.
Kennedy, former Benfica player?
That's right.
Is that the guy we saw last year?
Yeah, and that's what I was about to say. We were hanging out outside Estádio da Luz, and Kennedy was there, and I remember pointing him out to you. Yes, Kennedy is their coach. Estava muito bem acompanhado. It was him, and I forget who else it was.
I wonder if he takes those ladies that you saw him with to the restaurant. That he was wearing the cap of. Did you see the presser, the pregame presser for today?
I didn't.
The guy's wearing a restaurant hat on during the pregame presser. I'm sure he's going to get a lot of free meals out of that. You'll see what I mean.
Or he already has.
Alfredo, was it Peppa?
No, I don't think it was Peppa. I think it was the dude that is on Benfica TV, the dude with the long hair sometimes.
With the big nose? Big Adam's apple?
The one that was the older guy?
Yeah.
Former player?
Yeah, I think so.
Andrade, I think is his last name.
No, not Andrade. He played in the 60s or 70s, whatever.
No.
Not 60. I'm sorry. 80s, dude. 80s.
I forget who the guy was. He played for Guimarães also. I can't remember.
Yeah. Sorry. Nelu?
Não, caralho.
Well,
Couldn't Nelu, man. You don't watch enough Benfica TV, and apparently neither do I. Neither do I. So a very important game for Benfica. Benfica, now that everyone, when I say everyone, Sporting and Porto are out of the Portuguese Cup, it's a good time for Benfica to put a step forward and to gain access to the semis. The semis is going to be a two-legged event, and I think that Benfica plays Estoril, if I'm not mistaken, in the next phase of the Portuguese Cup. If Benfica are to beat Leixoes tomorrow at Estádio da Luz.
I remember Leixoes beat us in the Taça de Portugal a good, 10, 12 years ago, something like that. I remember a while ago they did beat us.
Yeah.
I believe it was in the same competition. It's a team based very close. That's basically, you could say, Street Porto, right? Something like that. They're right there.
Yeah.
They're very close to Porto, and they come with that garra, and they come with that same hatred towards Benfica. So expect a very tough match. Game that Benfica should still win, but a tough match physically.
Yeah. Steve, you foresee Vitoria rotating squad?
Yeah. You're going to see for sure the guys that he's stuck having to play. Fullbacks, you don't have options at fullback. You're going to see Semedo and Almeida play. I don't think our own Yuri, what is it, Ribeiro? I don't think he's going to play. So you're gonna see Almeida and Semedo play just because of lack of options.
Herpes is ready to play.
Herpes. I think you'll see Samaris again for lack of options. But aside from that, I could see basically anybody playing personally.
Yeah. And Samaris, for the love of the Lord, dude, just release the ball. It's one simple touch. Get it and release it. Don't overcomplicate things, man. You could do so much better if you could do just one touch the ball. Please do that for us. After the Portuguese Cup, we play Tondela in another afternoon game, Sunday, 4 p.m. local. And Cristiano, I don't know if we remember, it seemed like ages ago when Benfica played in the first round where you were scouting out Tondela's pitch, and you were the one that took the pictures of the miserable pitch in Tondela, and Record stole your pictures. I don't know if
and bola and jogo, but it's all right. It's all right. Don't worry about it. I found a way to watermark them now.
But you created this huge controversy in regards to the pitch because after you took the pictures, the papers picked up on the pictures and ran with the story saying that Benfica was possibly not going to play there after you took those pictures because of the state of the pitch.
Fun times, absolutely. Long time ago, though, it seems.
Yeah.
That's 2 summers in a row. Chris has a little bit of airtime in the Portuguese press. What are you going to do this summer, Chris?
I'll figure it out. I'm pretty sure I'll come up with something between now and then.
So Tondela is currently 18th. They haven't been doing too well. They're in dead last place after the first round. 2 wins, 4 ties, and 11 losses. Away 2 ties and 7 losses. So they have yet to win away from their stadium.
Alfredo, and the aforementioned Pepa is their coach now, right? Because Petit, who's obviously there the first half of the season, or at least that first matchup against Benfica, another former Benfica player and a Boa Vista player as well. I think he got fired or he stepped down. And Pepa, who's a former Benfica product, he's their new coach, correct? Or is he at a?
I don't. I can't confirm that because I didn't.
You're absolutely right, Chris. That just happened within the last week or so.
Yeah, that's right. So. We'll see, but another difficult game for Benfica, and it's these difficult games that Benfica needs to win. Well, not difficult games, but almost like a trap game. Tondela in 18th place, but I think that after this Boa Vista game, I think that Benfica is probably going to have a totally different approach to playing teams at home. I think they're going to be a little bit more careful. But I think that this had the makings of a trap game were it not for Benfica having tied Boa Vista just this past weekend. So hopefully the team will take Tondela very seriously. And I think that we could come out with the 3 points and continue and start the second half the best way we can. So I think that's it. I think I have one more thing, which is an exercise that Francisco Marcelino asked us to do, which was to pick the best 11 out of the JJ years and now the Vitoria years. So JJ started in his reign in the 2009-2010 season. So throughout that time, Benfica has had a lot of players up until the 16-17 season. So this is the players that I basically went back and wrote down all the players that played for Benfica or where there were on Benfica's roster. And I kind of sent around an email to the boys and Steve Santos, Marco Lopes, and Bruno. If you recall, Bruno was on our preview of Sporting. He's a part of the left back
Translated.
podcast, the left back podcast, o Lateral Esquerdo podcast, and also Lateral Esquerdo site, lateralesquerdo.com, if I'm not mistaken. So everyone put together their lineup. I think that Cristiano also put together his lineup, but I don't recall.
I do everything mentally.
There you go.
That by now.
All right, so here's so looking back at all the players, I'll give you who I selected as guys that were serious that could be selected. So in goalkeeper, Oblak, Ederson, and Julio Cesar, the Emperador, not Julio Cesar, the other guy, because if you recall, there was Julio Cesar.
Came from Vitória de Setúbal, I believe.
That's right. At right back, Semedo and Maxi were the candidates. Left back, Quintrão, Sequeira, Grimaldo, and Eliseu. Center backs, Luizão, Garay, David Luiz, Jardel, Lindelof. Defensive midfielders, Feza, Matic, Javi Garcia. Center mids, which also included box-to-box guys, Aymar, Ramirez, Witzel, Enzo, Pizzi, Renato Sanches, and Talisca. Wingers, Di Maria, Gaetan, Salvio, Nolito, Markovic, and Rafa. And forwards, Cardoso, Nuno Gomes, Montorra, Saviola, Rodrigo, Lima, Jonas, and Mitroglou. So I'll start with the 11 that Bruno selected because
real quick. Ederson was there under JJ. I mean, he was there, but
no. This is
from JJ to present.
all the way to present.
Oh, okay. Oh, never mind. Bala.
So Bruno, this is Bruno's 11, and Bruno, thank you for participating and for submitting. Ederson in goal, Semedo, Lindelof, Garay, and Grimaldo on defense. Matic, then he had Pizzi and Aymar in the middle, Di Maria, Gaetan, and Jonas.
It's a nice lineup.
I have a problem with like,
Pizzi.
No. No, I wasn't even gonna go there. But I have a problem with guys like Grimaldo, for example. He's been there 6 months. I mean, I don't feel like he should be on that all-decade team. Or you know what I'm trying to say? Chris. Yes.
Based on talent.
Francisco Marcelino kind of. I had to ask him because I was having a hard time how to decide it, and he said it's based on pure talent. So based on pure talent.
I don't even know what that is, but está bem então. All right,
he's
so
the one who made us do it.
Okay, so pure talent. All right, Francisco Marcelino. My tia's name is Marcelina, by the way. So
Marcelino.
But I said Marcelino.
Okay.
All right, so Steve, give me your team. Alfredo, go. So your team, Alfredo.
All right, so I'll give you Marcos.
Oh, Marcos.
Marco went with Oblak, Maxi, Luizão, Garay, Siqueira, Matic, Witzel, Di Maria and Gaetan, and Jonas and Saviola.
Saviola. Ay, Jesus. Next.
So, go ahead. Steve, you want to go with yours, and then I'll give mine?
Again, I will have to state that I chose who I thought were the most purely talented.
You better have Saviola in there.
I do.
Okay.
Probably not the lineup that would actually work or the guys who were best while at Benfica. My lineup is Oblak, Semedo, David Luiz, Garay, and Grimaldo. Matic and Aymar, Di Maria and Gaetan with Jonas and Saviola.
Yeah, and I'll give you my 11. Oblak, Semedo, Luizão, Garay, and Siqueira. Matic and Witzel. Di Maria and Gaetan on the wings, and Aymar and Jonas up front.
Who'd you have on the wings?
Di Maria and Gaetan.
I think everyone chose them.
And now you're gonna play with Aymar as a striker.
Behind Jonas.
Behind Jonas.
Come on, you guys can't be making these rules up as you go along. No, I'm
Wait,
joking. All right, goalkeeper Ederson. I absolutely love the guy. Nothing against any other goalie, but I happen to be in love with Ederson. I think he's right now. He's to me, in my mind, I put him top 5. I absolutely love the guy. I think we spoke about this off of through a text. I love the guy. Semedo, Garay, my man, David Luiz. It's not a team that I can start a Benfica team and I have my man David Luiz in there. Fabio Coentrão, Matic, Gaetan,
Doing it on the fly.
Di Maria, and then I'll go with. I wanted to throw either Enzo or Witzel in there, but I want to go a little bit more offensive. I'll put in Aymar at the 10 because I want to play the old school 10 with Jonas and a player that I like that Benfica. He's not a clinical finisher, but you're talking about talent, right? So I'm going based on talent. Rodrigo. I play him
Sweet.
up top. Based on talent.
One of my favorites. I think I feel sorry for him. I think he was having a hard time at Valencia. He would have stayed with us.
He just got hurt.
Again.
Yeah. If you're going to go based on talent. I mean, because if you're trying to make it work, you can make the case that you have to get Ramirez in there. If you're trying to make it work, like you're talking about, you're winning a game, just based on what you think is going to work. Because then you throw him in, then you make the argument for a Witzel and even an Enzo Perez, because you need a much grittier lineup. But that being said, I'm going based on talent alone. Di Maria on one side, Gaetano on Aymar, Jonas, Rodrigo, Matic playing defense center mid. Luizão, absolutely love the guy. Thank you for his 13 or 14 years of service. Phenomenal player. But that being said, David Luiz way more talented. Garay as well. Coentrão is talent. He's got more talent than Sequeira. The question is Grimaldo, but Grimaldo's been there for 6 weeks, so I can't catapult him just yet. And then Smithu's absolute beast. We loved the garra that Maxi brought, but this guy Smithu's got the talent. He's got it all. So
only one guy chose Maxi, which is just shows you the ceiling I think that Semedo has. For all of us to choose him except for Marco, I think just shows.
Well, the thing is this: you're going based on talent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Talent-wise, I mean, come on, dude. I mean, Smith barely uses his left, and I think he's got more talent in his left than Moxie has in his whole body. So that's why it's again we're not going off of a lineup or off of what you have done for Benfica. We're talking about talent-wise. So if it's just purely on talent, Smith is way more talented than Moxie's ever been, and that's not knocking Marco. It's just going on talent.
Yeah, I think that Marco isn't convinced on Semedo yet, and that's why he remembers just the consistency of Maxi throughout the years, and I think that's what's got him sold on it.
Yeah, but consistency is not talent.
No, I understand that, but for some guys, consistency is all you're gonna get.
Hey, he was great for us. Let's be honest. We can't stand him because of what he did to us. The fact he turned his back on us and he went to our rival. But while he was there, we absolutely loved him. This is a guy that, aside from Luizão, you could tell he was the second captain on the field, a guy that really bled and sweated this shirt on his back, and he represented as well. He just made a business decision, and he took the most money and left, and we like him for that. But the guy was he's a very good player, throughout his time at Benfica. But based on talent, I mean, come on, Smith does things with the ball that Maxi can only dream of.
But you got 8 seasons here, 8 seasons worth of good players. You have a lot of good players here. I mean, some guys that went on to be.
Oh yeah, Bruno Cortez, Emerson. I mean, we have a lot of talent.
Luis Felipe.
Which one? Because we had like 10 of them. We had a bunch of Luis Felipe.
The chunky Brazilian one, not the.
Yeah, but you also had the other guy that went to Olhanense.
From Braga, the one from Braga.
Yeah, they went to Olhanense then afterwards.
But he was Portuguese.
Yeah, you know what? I was putting that list together, and I was looking at the players like, wow, this scrub really played for Benfica.
you guys remember Carison? He came from Barcelona. So much hype.
He's in Portugal. He's just joined the Roca.
Roca, Street Aveiro. He's in my hometown.
That's right. Anyway, anything else you guys got? I want to get into some Twitter questions, but I don't think there's
Just
a lot.
want to give a shout out to my little cousin Julito, who's listening now, and he keeps texting
Hey,
me that
all right.
he wants to make sure that I tell you guys he says hi and he's a big listener. We got to find a spot for him one of these days, Alfredo.
Yeah.
We got to bring him on a podcast.
Yeah,
So,
even
Julio,
yeah, that's right. Even if it's for him to come and tell us one joke and give us his opinion on Benfica, that's it.
Julio, I know you listening, bro. We got to find a little way to get you involved. So
That's
stay
right.
sharp, all right? Stay sharp. You better read up on your Benficas. You forget about the Devils, all right?
I'm sure he probably knows more than us, or at least is up to date.
Big shout to Julio, not to be confused with Don Julio.
Don Julio.
Let's see. I got a few here from João Gomes. Hi guys, hope you're doing well. Some questions for you. With Grimaldo out 2 months, will herpes be a valid option?
Epa, don't know. Don't have a clue. At least I haven't seen any YouTube video. I haven't seen anything on this guy, so I have no idea if he could play or not. All I know is that if he's healthy and he shows that he's in shape, I think due to the lack of options right now, I think he'll definitely get a look. Whether it's in the Liga game, that I'm not sure, but he'll get a look in one of these Taça da Cerveja games or the Taça de Portugal. It just depends on how desperate Rui Vitoria is.
Not only that, how in shape will he be? Because from what I understand, he's been a few months without playing. Because
before you kill these.
Yeah, I think so, but I just don't listen to him sometimes.
Well, he's gonna have competition because Eliseo was just declared fit to play on Wednesday. So
yeah, but is he gonna be overweight or is he gonna be ready to go?
Listen, I think my man knows he's on his last 6 months. He's gonna come in with a bang.
A bang.
Popsicle, my man.
He's gonna drop really hard on the bench when he's not chosen to start. Bang.
He's gonna drop on a bench like a piece of T-bone steak on a grill.
He can't be worse than Almeidinha. That's all I'll say.
I think he can.
No, he can't. No, he can't. Stop, Steve.
Another one here from João Gomes. Raul wants to stay, and the newspapers are saying Guedes or Smith must leave because we need money. Do you believe that? I personally don't believe that. With that, the CFO, what's that guy's name? I forget what his guy said that we don't need.
Rui Silva.
So. No, I don't think that's.
I play with a guy named Rui Silva, and I feel like throwing out his name.
Oh,
yeah. What's his name? Jimenez already admitted publicly that he did have an offer, but he chose to stay at Benfica.
Why do they have to be so smart?
No, stop. I'm gonna hit you guys with the inside scoop. He was ready to go. Okay, he had everything agreed on. He was ready to go. What happened was Monday. I can't say yesterday because we're dating ourselves. But whatever. Monday, the Chinese Super League came out with a ruling that they're only allowed 3 foreigners on each team. So they put a cap on how many foreigners. So therefore, they already have Witzel on that team that he was most likely going to go to. They already have a couple of other options. And so they passed on him. They passed on a bunch of other big name guys. Diego Costa now. Diego Costa is most likely going to stay at Chelsea now. A bunch of other players that were rumored to be going to China will no longer be going to China because there's only a handful of guys now that they can have per team. So Jimenez is going to come out and say all the right things. No, I chose to stay here because he's going to look good. But in reality, deep down inside, the people in the know that he was ready to go. But now he can't look bad and say, "Oh, I was ready to go," and it didn't work out, so I'm coming back to Benfica. So now he has to put a smile on everything. You know what I'm saying?
João Gomes is also saying that it seems that Benfica Radio Benfica will become a reality in 2017.
I know. We're going to be on it.
Can we expect the pod to be broadcasted there?
Let's go. 3 o'clock in the morning.
I'm open. I'll do it. We'll produce content every night if they need it. It'll be on
castañas asadas.
You'd produce content every night.
I need funners.
We could produce content.
And I want a banana. That's pretty much what they give to the media, the little pack that we get at the Estadio da Luz. It'll be fun and a banana and a Coca-Cola. But I want some castañas asadas. That's basically my that's what I'm asking from Benfica.
Yeah, we're not asking for a lot. You could play our show. We'll make it an hour. You play our show from 3 or from 2 o'clock in the morning to 3 o'clock in the morning, which would be perfect. And we'll cater to all the English audience that's spread out throughout the world, especially here in this side of the hemisphere that we're 5 hours behind. In Australia, I think that at this time or 3 o'clock in the morning, I don't know what time it is over there, but it must be daylight.
It's 14 hours ahead of here. So
14 hours. Okay, so 3 o'clock in the morning. What would that be?
Well, our 3 o'clock in the morning or Portuguese 3 o'clock in the morning?
I don't know, man. I'm not good with math. You know that.
You're messing all this shit up.
It'd be like 7 p.m. for them, bro.
So 3 o'clock would be what, 8 o'clock here?
Yes, it would be us recording live, basically.
No, peraí, pá, peraí. 3 o'clock here would be 10. 10. 3 o'clock. 10.
8 plus 5, dude.
Yeah, 3 o'clock there. 3 o'clock there will be 10 here.
Yeah.
So 10 plus 14 is what? 24. That's 12 o'clock.
Because it's 10 p.m., dude. So you go 10 a.m. plus 2.
You guys,
so 12 o'clock.
The pod is losing credibility as we speak, bro. We're losing all the credibility as it's going out. You guys can't even do simple math.
I just did the math.
We listen to these burros. Ay, Jesus.
Good thing we don't advertise ourselves as scholars, or else we'd be in trouble.
Hopefully, we'll edit this part out on Benfica when they're listening to this. They don't see we're terrible at math.
Hey, just put us on there. We'll do the rest. That's it. We got our
calculators.
We got all our own equipment, and Cristiano promises that he could be here, and Steve also.
Nightly. I don't know about nightly. We'll talk.
All right, everybody. That's all we got. Thank you very much for checking us out. Next week, we'll be back. We'll break down the Tondela game. We'll look ahead to, I think, the League Cup semifinal also happens next weekend, if I'm not mistaken. But we'll look at that. Thanks a lot. Steve Santos and Cristiano Oliveira. At 10CO10 is where you can find Cristiano on Twitter. Steve Santos at Steve Santos 6. At Benfica Podcast. planetbenfica.co.uk. Support our friends there. And then that's it. That's all I got. Thank you very much. And I'll talk to you again next week. See ya.